Welcome to my podcast. This episode is called Haunted Hospital Stories. In this episode, I am going to share with you several true haunted hospital stories and experiences that patients and nurses have had while working in hospitals and other health facilities such as nursing homes. The girl with the glowing red eyes. Robin is a highly experienced nurse of many years standing. She has worked in many different aspects of nursing care over the course of her career, including what is arguably the most challenging and heartbreaking field of them all, that of pediatric palliative nursing, taking care of dying children. It takes a very special sort of person to do that kind of work. As a paramedic, I have taken a number of children on what we call hospice transports over the years. The knowledge that the little one lying in front of you on the ambulance gurney is dying and will almost certainly never get to grow up or enjoy another Christmas is nothing short of gut-wrenching. For the EMT or paramedic, those calls only last for an hour or two at most, and then we are on to the next emergency. Although they do tend to keep you awake in the wee small hours of the morning, they are mercifully infrequent. And yet, when they do come along, the dying children are the ones that stay with you forever. How much harder must it be for the nurses and other end-of-life medical professionals who spend most of their working week tending to such patients? I truly believe that people such are this are the closest thing we have to angels walking the earth in human form. I just can't comprehend how those compassionate men and women can deal with such heartbreak every day, day in and day out, and still remain centered and even upbeat. My hat goes off to all of the end-of-life carers I have encountered during the course of my medical career. To me, every one of them is a hero. In addition to being one of the finest nurses I know, Robin is also a very good friend of mine, and I trust her word and her judgment absolutely. As a gifted psychic medium and paranormal investigator, Robin has over 10 years investigating haunted locations with me. Along with her husband Randy, she has produced some remarkable hits while on investigations and can always be relied upon to keep a level head when things turn dark and scary. Robin and I were sitting in a haunted jail cell late one evening, just waiting around for something to happen, and I asked her what cases she was working on at the moment. She told me that she was currently a little preoccupied with something that was happening at her place of employment, a nursing facility for the elderly and those who could not take care of themselves. Her story, when she told it, was nothing short of terrifying. At the time these events occurred, Robin was working as a weekend nursing manager. One of her duties was to organize the schedule, making sure that the nursing home was staffed appropriately, and if that was not possible, she had to work the unfilled shifts herself. Unsurprisingly, the toughest shifts to fill were the overnights and weekends. Not many people want to voluntarily work on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday nights. The facility housed somewhere around 60 residents, all of whom were taken care of by nurses and nurse aides. Robin arrived one night to work an overnight shift that she just hadn't been able to fill. She took a handoff report from the off-going evening shift nurse, who told her that one of the patients who lived in a room at the end of a long hallway had been hallucinating rather badly that evening. This news didn't faze Robin particularly. The lady was in her 80s and suffered with dementia. Hallucinations are not uncommon in such instances. What was unusual was that the old lady had began to growl at the nursing staff when they went in to attend to her needs. "Have you tried giving her a change of scene?" Robin asked, getting her out of that room and into a recliner in the common room. "Might help her a little bit." "The aide wouldn't help me," the other nurse admitted, sounding a little embarrassed. "She said, 'Whatever's in there, I don't want it coming home with me.'" Robin blinked in surprise. "Whatever's in there?" What a strange expression for a nursing professional to use. What exactly did she mean by that? The nurse proceeded to tell Robin that she and the nursing aide believed the old woman to be possessed. For her part, Robin was unconvinced, reasoning that the growling was most likely a worsening of her dementia symptoms. With a hand-off taken care of, the evening shift staffed, leaving Robin in charge of the building. After making her rounds to check in on the patients, most of whom appeared to be sleeping soundly, she went back to the nurse's station and set about climbing the small mountain of administrative paperwork she still had left to complete. It was close to 2 o'clock in the morning when she looked up from her desk. The sound of a loud, throaty growl echoed along one of the hallways, a deep and threatening rumble. She could tell that it had come from inside the troubled old lady's room, audible even through the closed door. Instantly, Robin became convinced that this was something more than dementia. There was an inhuman quality to the growl that made the hairs on the back of her neck stand on end. It was deep and guttural and sounded unhuman. Nevertheless, she was a nurse and she had a patient to care for. It was that simple. Getting up from her chair, she made her way down the hallway to the door at the far end. With every step she took, the growling seemed to get louder and more intense. Reaching out a hand, she twisted the handle and pushed the door open slowly. The room was completely dark as she stepped inside. Robin was hit with an overwhelming sense of oppression and heaviness. Each step she took felt as if she was swimming underwater. The atmosphere in this room was nothing short of horrible, she recalled afterward from the comfort of her jail cell. I've been a paranormal investigator for nearly over a quarter of a century. It takes a lot to scare me, but I did not want to be in that room. It took everything I had to not turn around and leave that room immediately. As a paranormal investigator, she would certainly have been able to do that. Few would have faulted her for it, but as a nurse, however, she did not. There was a patient in her charge, and that meant she had a duty to care for her. Fleeing was not an option. The old lady was lying in bed, her head and shoulders propped up against a pile of pillows. She let out yet another loud growl, one that set Robin's teeth on edge like nails on a chalkboard. Her eyes were blood red, and the pupils were dilated, and the cold blood-red eyes were staring directly at her. Using her most soothing tone of voice, Robin asked her gently what was wrong. "It's the girl." "What girl?" Robin frowned. The old lady lifted a hand and pointed toward the floor. "The little girl with the red eyes. She's hiding under my bed." Squatting down on her haunches, Robin looked underneath the bed, finding it to be empty. She reassured her patient that there was nobody under there, but the woman was insistent. "The girl had glowing red eyes," she repeated, "and had crawled under the bed to hide. When Robin had entered the room, she gave a very detailed physical description of the girl, all the way down to the dress she was wearing." Robin went to fetch the nurse aide, telling her that she needed a little help, just as the evening shift aide had refused to go into that room. The same was true of her night shift counterpart. "What's got you so spooked?" Robin asked. "Is it the growling?" "She keeps talking about a little girl with red eyes hiding in the room under her bed," the aide explained. That stopped Robin dead in her tracks. She knew from her experience that the resident in question had very severe memory issues. It wasn't at all unusual for a nurse to go into her room, introduce herself by name, spend a minute or two ministering some medications, and then have the old lady ask what her name was again. She would forget things that had happened just moments ago. Yet, if the aide's story was correct, the resident had been telling the same story for the past few hours. Robin asked the aide to repeat the old lady's description of the red-eyed girl. It matched exactly with what she had just told Robin. This was unusually good recall for a patient who could